They actually have a plan for today's Nice Guys on Business podcast. You don't want to miss it.
You can't sell information today. Information is absolutely useless.
Right.
In the 70s, 80s, 90s, people were making a gazillion dollars by selling information. Today, it's called the internet. You can find anything you want on the internet, mostly for free. So don't bother trying to sell information. What you want to sell is outcomes. No one's going to pay you to teach them. Everybody wants to learn, but nobody wants to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
So when Doug and I had this conversation, I didn't pitch Doug on how wonderful, even though I am, and all the accolades. I said, this is what your audience is going to get. That's what people want to hear. Whether you're pitching terrestrial radio, television, summits, doesn't make a difference.
Locally sourced, organic, gluten-free, and topic to table. It's the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community. Let's talk about profitable, powerful publicity. Now, are you putting in big time effort with small time results? Well, Dr. Richard Kaye, expert in the world of transformation, transforming your business from early stage infancy to revenue rich maturity. Richard, I'm excited to chat with you. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business.
Thanks for the opportunity to play in your playground.
Hey, I'm happy to have you here in my playground, and I'll try not to get sand in your eyes. Let's do it. Hey, so, before I hit record, we were having this really nice brief conversation just about, hey, how I got started on what I was doing. And then I mentioned to you when I first launched my podcast, I was looking for publicity. I was looking for an agent to kind of help me with the whole process of getting my book out there, because I had just written a book called Nice Guys Finish First. I'm really curious just about how you see the whole world of publicity, and maybe even start with a 101 approach. What is publicity to you, and how do we make it actually profitable and make it worthwhile for us?
The end is easy. How do you make it profitable? By leveraging what you've got. And ladies and gentlemen, hang around, because later on you're going to get a gift. And you're going to learn how to leverage what you've got.
Come on, that's a teaser. No guests come on here and do teasers. I love the fact that you even teased it for me. I don't even have to work hard here. I'm just going to sit back and have a great conversation with you. All right, keep talking, Richard. I like what you're saying.
Decades ago, when I was at Northeastern University as a student, I remember a magazine, and it was called Playboy. I don't even know if it's around anymore. And there was a cartoon. Missiles headed toward Washington, film at 11. Those are teasers.
I get it. Okay.
So let's make a distinction, Doug, between PR, public relations, marketing, advertising, and publicity. We all know PR. You send out a press release, or you hire someone to do that, and you pray to God someone picks it up.
Yeah.
Like on January 6th, a year ago, nobody was picking up any press. Okay. Marketing is basically point of sale. You go into your Trader Joe's, you go into whatever it is, special today, 2 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's point of sale. You can measure the return on this stuff because it's real time. Advertising, television, radio, newspapers, whatever it is, you can measure ROI. Again, return on investment, because you put something out and either sales happen or don't. Publicity, you can't always measure the ROI because it's long term. It's getting something you want to be, ladies and gentlemen, top of mind awareness. So actually, I'll tell you a story. When I started my chiropractic practice, I drove from New York out to San Diego, know where Ojai is, great place to live. And there were 300 chiropractors there. How the hell do you start or grow any business? And ladies and gentlemen, we are all in crowded fields.
Mm-hmm.
I got an article in the San Diego Tribune. Then I got an article in the Los Angeles Times. And here's the key. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to be top of mind awareness. Doug, you know the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Correct? Oh, of course.
Yeah. let's take that a step larger. It's who knows you. Got it? One day I get a phone call from the producer of the ABC News in San Diego. The essence of her query was, who are you? We're seeing your name. We're hearing about you. She didn't know me personally.
Right.
But she heard about me. That's top of mind awareness. Well, now I got a 6:30 news segment. Then I got a similar phone call from a producer at PBS.
The dominoes are now beginning to fall in place just because of this one thing, and this one thing.
That's it. It's the one thing. And then I got a PBS segment about me. Well, that grew my practice exponentially. And then 30 years later, I just shut it down to work with entrepreneurs, but that's a whole other story.
All right. So here's what I want to know. And I apologize for interrupting. Let me ask a couple of questions as you get there, because I don't want to go too deep without at least coming back to the top of the well and saying, okay, well, where is the beginning point? You were wise enough at whatever age that you drove your car from New York to San Diego. You were wise enough to say, hey, you know something? I can't go with normal ads because I'd be competing with 300 others, and I got to get people to recognize who the hell I am. How does one even get started in something like that?
Have the awareness is the first thing. It's a great question, Doug. Have the awareness that you need to do it. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how masterful, how many degrees, if nobody knows about you, you're going to go get a job instead of being an entrepreneur. And if that suits you, sometimes it may be easier, but you have to have the awareness. Now, the semi-facetious answer is call me, and I'll tell you how to begin. By the way, I have nothing to sell here. I'm not going to make you an offer that if you buy by today, you're going to get, $3.87 and change, and you get 4 Ginsu knives.
I don't know if anybody's as old as you and I to remember the Ginsu knife, but I certainly remember the Ginsu knife on late night television.
Yeah. Never saw one, but it was a giveaway. So I have nothing to sell. I'm here to disseminate information so you can do this by yourself. I'm a huge advocate, Doug. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have enough time, more time than money, do it yourself.
Right.
If you have more money than time, then you engage in an organization such as Top Talent Agency to get you out into the world. And we guarantee results, which is different.
So let's talk about different platforms if we could for just a second. So,
Sure.
Technology is different today than it was 30 years ago when you were starting. Local ABC affiliate would be a good place to go, 30 years ago. Nowadays, it's, it could be potentially influencer marketing on social media. It could be a well-placed ad. I mean, so talk about where should people think about landing when it comes to making sure they're exposing their message to the right audience?
If you want to know where to land, where to be, find your target audience. How do you find it? I'm going to do a sidebar here.
Yeah.
You can't sell information today. Information is absolutely useless.
Right.
In the 70s, 80s, 90s, people were making $1 gazillion by selling information. Today, it's called the internet. You can find anything you want on the internet, mostly for free. So don't bother trying to sell information. What you want to sell is outcomes. No one's going to pay you to teach them. Everybody wants to learn, but nobody wants to be taught. So when Doug and I had this conversation, I didn't pitch Doug on how wonderful, even though I am, and all the accolades. I said, this is what your audience is going to get. That's what people want to hear. Whether you're pitching terrestrial radio, television, summits, doesn't make a difference. You want to find out who your audience is. And Doug, I'm going to take a few moments so everyone can learn how you can get on talk radio.
All right. Go ahead.
Doug, have you ever listened to someone in talk radio?
Of course.
And you had this thought, how come them and not me?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's how. Same thing with the media, by the way, and we have access. Media comes to us now to find contributing authors for articles. So find a talk program that you like. Now, I'm not a sports fan. I don't know who won, let alone played in the last Super Bowl. I'm not going to pitch a sports show because after hello, I've got nothing to say.
Right.
So I'm going to find entrepreneurs, just as you listening in this audience here. Find your niche. Now, when I did this, and you've admitted you were old enough, Doug, I used to go to the yellow pages to find out who to talk to.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's an old book, used to be inches thick. I grew up in New York area.
Reuben H. Donnelly.
Yeah, Reuben H. Donnelly. That's right. They were the ones there. Don't bother to pitch the host. They're the last ones. You find the producer. How do you find it? Google, whatever, Bing, whatever it is you use, and you prepare a pitch for them. The biggest point is, what is the audience going to get? And I'm going to tell you a couple of things not to do in a moment. If you have a speaker's reel, you send it to them. What? Even if it's radio? Yeah, they want to see you in action. They want to know you're the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pitch, yes, you're going to send your bio, your resume, so not your resume, your bio, so they can see that you're the real deal. And if you don't have any place to start, go to local Rotary or Kiwanis, these things. Now let's talk about a speaker's reel. I said you send a speaker's reel. Well, I don't have one yet. Every service club has a guest speaker every week for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know that? My wife's incoming president of Rotary. She said, will you come and speak? I never did that before to that kind of organization. Go to university or family, and friends, and pay someone to film you. One camera straight on, one either handheld or roaming, and you're going to pay, even though you got university students, you're going to pay them. They edit, interview you, title. Now you've got a less than 2-minute speaker's reel.
Mm-hmm.
People have heard of sizzle reels. That's when you show all the logos of everything that you've been on. They don't need that. They want a speaker's reel. How do you interact in the audience? I think I may have sent one to you, Doug. I'm not even certain.
I think you did.
Yeah, it's part of my speaker's package. And let them know how powerful the audience is going to be, how empowered they're going to be just by listening to you.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you're selling results, and my first question would be about that is as a newbie, let's say, somebody that's either just getting off the ground with their business or has had an established business but has never really had to work at the promotion of it because they had a business that was manageable. They were doing it as a side hustle. Now all of a sudden they got this is a full-time effort for me, and I need to figure out how to do this. Where do you even know where to start as it relates to, you can get overwhelmed pretty quickly with this,
Absolutely.
Just trying to figure all this stuff out. Now you've had me chasing after a Rotary group and then finding a college kid or a university to edit it. And then I got to have a second camera there to do it. And then I got to tell them what to edit. And these people are all going to rely upon me to tell them what to do, not, I realize it's going to be the inexpensive version of what you want to get done, but it can get overwhelming kind of fast. So can you give some advice to somebody that's just trying to get their feet under them?
I love your thinking, because it can be. I'm a huge advocate, Doug, that if it's not your gift, it's not your job.
Right, exactly.
You engage people who can serve you. Now, I didn't know anything about video editing. When I remember the very first website I built with a Microsoft, I can't even remember the name of it, way back when, and I would think of it today, I said, my God, it was horrible.
Right.
But that was leading edge back then. I didn't know anything about editing video. I sat down and I learned. Learn the skills that serve you. And if you can't or don't want to, hire someone who's masterful at it.
And nowadays with Fiverr, VA, all of that, you have somebody that specializes in pretty much anything that's out there. If you give them enough direction to tell them what you want as the end result. I'm trying to sell results here. So can you put together 2 minutes from this 20-minute speech that I have given? There's got to be an opportunity in there somewhere for somebody to put together some quality content.
I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm going back to speaking to organizations, associations that pay. I haven't done that for a while. I went into GPT chat,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, fine. And I gave the specs for what I wanted. Find them. Give me the company. Give me the website. If you can give me your contact information. No, I didn't ask Chad to write the email because most things written by Chad absolutely suck. I mean, you want quality. You want to come from your heart and soul. And that's how you reach out. And I tell them, here's what your audience is going to get. Here's my speaker's reel. Here's my website. Here's my information. And I tell them I have nothing to sell, not in those kinds of environments. So find the people who can serve you and be careful. We all get inundated. Doug, you, me, we all get inundated by Facebook and other crap that
Right.
comes.
I got you.
I'll teach you how to write a book in a weekend using AI. Don't waste your time. It's if you're lucky, we can talk about publishing at another time if we ever want. We guarantee #1 best-selling books, but not just in one, in multiple categories. Absolutely guarantee them. We get you to a place where you say, I'd rather do my thing. When I was practicing chiropractic, one of the reasons I retired, in the beginning, I was accepting insurance. If you ask any doctor in any field today, they will tell you they did not go to school to fill out insurance forms.
Right.
We all went to school, in the broad scope of healing arts, to serve humanity. And then insurance took over, and there's all kinds of drama and crap with that. Do your gift. So what do? They subcontract out all that stuff. That's what you must do if it distracts you from giving your gift to humanity. My hallucination, and I've worked with entrepreneurs for probably 30 years, most people want to serve. They don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
They want to. And we get lost in the minutia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. I remember starting TurnKey, our production company. This was probably 8 years ago when we finally had our wheels under us and knew what we were doing. We started TurnKey, and we very quickly discovered that harder work does not equate to more success. Harder work within something that would be, as Gay Hendricks from The Big Leap would call, our zone of incompetence, which is accounting and processing and all of the things that are hiring and just anything that's admin was not our thing. And so we put people into the space of doing that. And it took a couple of years of doing that, hiring out and actually paying people before we even started taking a paycheck ourselves. It took us a couple of years of doing that before we realized, hey, wait a second, now we are really in our zone of genius. Strickland is in, my partner is dealing with systems and processes. I deal with relationships and selling. And once we discovered that, we were working a fraction of the hours and making 5x the income, 10x the income. And what was going on is we put together this organization based upon exactly what you just said, is staying out of the crap that we weren't any good at.
Yeah, if it's not your gift, it's not your job.
Right.
Find someone to do it, and they can do it better. I mean, there were years when I was doing my own accounting, and I said, "Are you out of your freaking mind?" I mean,
why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? So
yeah.
take me from out of chiropractic to discovering that your gift, while chiropractic is certainly one of your gifts, you were doing it for so many decades, that really wasn't what you were placed here to do. It seems like this next stage, this next phase of your life was where you really are in your zone of genius. Is what's going on?
It's a yes and. My gift back then was facilitating quality of life changes for people. I was meditating one day, Doug. I had begun to work with an organization at the time. It was named IBI, Income Builders International, transformed into CEO Space. At the time, it was created by Bob Proctor. It was his child.
Yeah.
And I began working with them. And one day I'm meditating, and the Reader's Digest version is I heard, "Shut your practice and work with entrepreneurs." And there's nobody there. So again,
You were called.
Yeah. 3 weeks later, I shut down 30 years. I was in San Diego. I already owned 80 acres here in Taos where I live. I drove out, tried to take a time off, and I couldn't. So I've been serving entrepreneurs for 30 years. Again, a little overlap with the chiropractic practice. And then the publicity was brought to me as a gift. Someone called me up, said the founder of CEO Space had died, and I was vice president for a while. And he says, "Hey, why don't we work together?" And the president of the company, you may or may not be familiar with guerrilla marketing, J. Conrad Levinson.
Sure, yeah.
David was CEO of guerrilla marketing for years. So he knows massive amounts about publicity. And such a point, as I mentioned this before we went live, Les Brown called him up last week and said, "David, I respect you. I want to work with you now." And we've got an event coming up. Doug's going to give you the information. It's called the Global Genius Event, globalgeniusevent.com. I've got Mark Hansen. I've got John DeMartini. I've got Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols. And it's free. Come and play, network. There'll be networking, hang out. You know this, so I mean, I'm just going to be redundant to you, Doug, but you got to hang out with people much smarter than you.
I love that you're saying that, and I love the fact that so many of those names are household names in the world of motivation, inspiration, selling, leadership. I've had a really wonderful opportunity to meet several of those people that are on that list that are going to be speaking, whether I've been in an audience with them or done partnership efforts with them. Brian Tracy's son, Michael, and I were working on a book together, and we started, and we discovered other avenues for us to explore opportunity together. And that's the magic sometimes of going to these summits and meetings where, well, what am I going to do? What's going to be sold to me? Don't worry about that. If you're not in a position to buy, well, you're not going to be sold anything. But go with the opportunity that you potentially could meet someone or a group of people, or find a leader that you can follow, or a mentor that will mentor you. Any of those things are opportunities, and I would highly encourage you to take advantage of Richard's summit. And I'll put a link in the show notes for that. But that wasn't even the gift that you're going to give him. I think you have another gift that you're still going to give, right?
I have a gift. I'm going to give you a reference for it. I talked about my article in the Los Angeles Times. I still leverage it. Now, it was 35 years ago, because I'm talking about it and giving you an understanding of how powerful. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to richardkaye.com, RICHARDKAYE.com/leverage. And you'll download it. That's 5.5-minute video on how to leverage things. And I'm going to give you one of the examples that's given in that video. I was thrilled to be awarded the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. It's like, how do you guys even know? You know? That's part of my email signature. And sometimes people look at that and say, "Oh my God, this guy's really out there." That's what leverage is. Has it ever closed a sale? No, it's not.
Well, you don't know. The whole thing is, I have on my signature line, a Forbes article was written through a connection that I had probably a handful of years, 5 or 7 years ago, something like that. But I still have it in my signature line. My website has ink articles that have been written, and these are articles that have come to me, people promoting the idea of writing an article, and they're great opportunities. They're not great opportunities if you get the article written and then you bury it, or you never
That's
mention
exactly
it,
right.
or you never mention it again.
Yes.
Use that to your advantage. Why wouldn't you? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's selling for you in your signature line of your email. Why not? Or your website? Why not use it?
And when I researched you before we went on the show, I said, this guy's all over the place. You've got some amazing publicity. And you, as I now understand, know how to leverage it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get featured in the big city newspapers, you want to get featured on stages, reach out to me. Very complex URL, talkaboutpublicity.com. Talkaboutpublicity.com. And I love you laugh at that. You must make it easy for people to get in touch with you. I'm doing a live talk in a couple of months. One of the things I talk about is filling out forms on a website.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, enough said. Make it easy. Give them a phone number. Give them an email. Give them an appointment. If it's called barrier to entry. We live in a one-touch world. What does that mean? Next. If when I moved out to Taos, I needed a plumber. house is kind of different. I mean, it was 5,000 people here. I called 3 different plumbers. One of them got back to me. Guess who got the job?
That's the amazing thing. It's like, oh my gosh, customer service is at an all-time low. All you need to do is return your phone calls, tell the truth, and be a nice guy, and you'll get the business. It doesn't have to go much further than that, but you got to stay in the game long enough for it to happen. I just make sure that I put a link to talkaboutpublicity.com so that people have access to that. I'll also put in there the global genius event that you are putting together as well, to make sure that people have that. What am I missing? I know we only have a few minutes left, but what am I missing to ask you as we start to wrap up?
What do you need to do to get out there? You asked it earlier on, is know your end game. Don't go out to suck the lifeblood out of an audience, out of a podcast, out of a summit. For example, I said this a few times at our Genius Summit, there's no selling. Oh, yes, people will give you a lead capture, a form. For example, my leverage. I'll get your information. You will not be inundated. You will not be sold anything. Be at peace. Go to serve more often than you go to take. There's a chasm, huge distinction between pitching and selling and attracting and enrolling.
Yep.
People, if people want your services, my wife was on the phone with someone the other. Real short story.
Yeah.
She spent over $200,000 trying to get her messages out to the world. She writes fairy tales because when kids fall in love with themselves, and that's the core of her work, they don't go out and shoot up schools. They don't commit suicide. 200,000, couple of different publishers. She came to our company. Then we met and got married. That's not a common event, but
that's the ultimate sale, man. You did it.
Yeah. She's now a #1 best-selling author. She just got off her television show that she was invited to produce called Children's Lives Matter. She's a columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune. This is the acceleration through the arc of success. And her goal, this is mostly what I do now, is help promote, and we publish her book. We help get her out there because her zone of genius is writing. It's not marketing. It's not all that stuff. She's learned a lot of it by hanging out with me. She didn't have a choice. So the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is find what you want to do. How can you serve humanity? Let the rewards come to you. Don't get hungry. People know when you're thirsty. You know when someone's trying to pitch you and they won't take no for an answer. I teach programming negotiation. Angel asked me the other day, who's the best negotiator? I said, a 2-year-old.
True.
They never say no. They're persistent. And okay, just this time, until next time. Be in service. Show up and serve humanity and watch the rewards come to you. And it's much more rewarding when you can sleep at night and not having to think, shit, I took money from that woman and she really couldn't afford me. Play at a higher vibration. Help raise the vibration of humanity and you'll win more.
Amen, brother. You're talking at the right frequency now, and I'm hearing what you were saying. So thank you for being on the show, and we'll make sure we get all of your information to our Nice Guy community. Thanks, Richard, for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity, Doug.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of a guy like Richard Kaye doing his thing for you for unparalleled success. All of his information will be right there in the show notes. Just go ahead and click the link. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. Or 2. 10 tops.